Okay, I am pulling up my desktop right now, and I am going to try to share it with everyone, if I can. And I have to say that okay, I'm trying to, Julie. Okay, here we go. Right click. Okay, I'm wondering if you can see my desktop. Okay, Beth, thank you. All right, then I will look for my presentation. There it is. And get it going. Slideshows from beginning. Here we go. Okay, I am hopeful that you can all see my slides. And Julie, if you could unmute yourself, because I can no longer see the conversation going on. So Julie, if you could unmute and let me hear you. If you could read the conversation that's going on in case anybody has a question, that would be great. And then just speak up when you're unmuted,
okay,
and we'll begin.
Is this going to work if I talk? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I just want you to be able to interrupt and say, Valerie, the slide didn't progress, or Valerie, someone has a question, this is it.
Okay.
And it looks like it just rolled over to 9 a.m. right now, so I am going to go ahead and start. My name is Valerie Oliver. I work for the Alaska State Library, and I'm down here in Anchorage. You probably best know me as the E-rate coordinator for schools and libraries. I'm the one who probably helps you if you're applying for Universal Service Fund money, answer questions and work on your application for that. And I thank all of you who have gotten your applications in. But I have one other role with the Alaska State Library that in Asia's latter days I took over from her, which was the technology planning part of it. Technology planning is we kind of differed in our opinions. I am of the opinion that it's not really that hard, and it's very, very helpful and useful because it gives you a roadmap of where you want to go. And without a plan, you really are spending money in a more of a willy-nilly way. And with resources being so tight, technology planning, planning for what you want, planning for what you need, being thoughtful about prioritizing what your patrons need, is really pretty important. And I'm of the opinion that it's not that difficult to do. So because of my opinions like that, I inherited technology planning as well. So if you are currently doing technology planning as a library in the state of Alaska, I am the Certified Technology Plan Approver, and I work with you, and I'm happy to do that because I really feel as though technology plans are your friend. They can do a lot for you. So I'm Valerie, and I am going to take a little bit of time and just go over my technology planning thoughts with you, and I would love to be your partner in planning. It doesn't take very much time out of my life to work on technology plans with people, and it really doesn't take very much time out of your life either, and it pays big dividends. You know where you stand, and it's always great to know where you stand and to know where you're going. So why should you have a technology plan? Grant opportunities is probably the biggest reason financially why you might want to have a plan, other than purposeful planning in your own organization. There are some places like the Rasmussen Foundation, if you were to go to them and apply for a grant through them, and they are a wonderful source of support for libraries in the state of Alaska. They have been incredibly generous with us, as have the Gates Foundation. They would want to see evidence of purposeful planning before you start ordering services or purchasing things. And so having a technology plan in your hip pocket that says, yeah, we actually are thinking about where we are and where we want to be in the future, it can really make a difference. Another reason would be federal funding. If you were asking for, and some of you are 90% libraries and would qualify for Priority 2 funding for the federal E-rate program or perhaps for RUS grants, you would need to have a technology plan for those federal fundings that maybe are not grant opportunities, but may be available to you if you just do the right paperwork. You're not competing with anyone else, but you need to have purposeful planning for that. The third thing here is something that I say all the time, and you probably are thinking she's being redundant, but really there is something so beautiful about knowing where you want to be, knowing where you want to go. Being able to have a elevator speech or a 5-second blurb that you could give a board member or a councilman or somebody from the legislature of, this is where we have intended to go. We've written into our plan that we would like to, by the year 2016, be able to have, you know, a dedicated Wi-Fi connection for blah, 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 blah kind of thing. And if you are planning for it, people take you much more seriously. In fact, your community takes you more seriously, and sometimes it's even a self-prophesizing type of thing where you really feel more comfortable about where you are at. And the last thing I have here is community support. If they feel like you're being well-intentioned with the money that they're helping you with, then you are more likely to get more money in the future. If you are able to say, we planned for this, we budgeted for it, this is our long-term goal, we're going to assess where we are at this point, they're much more likely to share the responsibility of bringing your community to where you want to be. So those are all reasons, and I'm sure you all know all of them. So I am going to move forward and talk with you a little bit about what's in a technology plan. I guess maybe I should stop. Julie, I know I can be a steamroller. Have there been any questions that have popped up I should ask?
We have a few more people joining us, which is fabulous. We have Amy and somebody from Copper Valley Community Library joining us. So welcome, everybody.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent. I have just talked a little bit about why do this and why you would possibly want to have a technology plan. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about what is a technology plan. A lot of you in the past have submitted technology plans to the state of Alaska. Some of you, your plans are current. Some of your plans are old. If you are curious, if you're new to your library and wondering, have we ever had a technology plan in the past? Like Copper Valley, Sharon probably just got online and is wondering, did we ever have one in the past? I could go through my files. Historically, I have them all. I could scan it, send it to you, and you could see what your plan was in the past. It might be kind of an interesting thing. But your technology plan is your roadmap for the future. And it is where you set down your goals of where you want to be 3 to 5 years down the road. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to make those goals, and you can always revise your plan, but to have a plan and to be aiming for something and not make it is far better than to have no plan at all. And so your technology plan is your roadmap for where you want to go with technology and patron access. And for the most part, there are very few things in your library nowadays with automated circulation systems and electronic resources and end-user devices, there are very few things that are not technology related. Technology just means, you know, it's not the book. It is actually something that is wired in to something. It could be wired into a signal that is wireless but floating around in the air, or it could be something that's plugged into the wall, and that's what we're really talking about. But improving your delivery to your patrons through some method of wired access. Usually tech plans cover a 3 to 5 year time period. The Alaska State Library has its own technology plan, and ours covers a 5-year period. Most libraries cover a 3-year period. That's pretty much what the feds like to see, but your plan is your own, and if you want to make a 5-year plan, you do that. You do what works for you. There are some libraries that do only a 1-year plan because things are changing so rapidly they can't see that far ahead. This plan is for you. You're in the driver's seat, and whatever works for you is the exact right thing to do. The plan tells us where you are now and where you want to go in the future. It contains how you're going to get there. It says, this is our goal. This is where we want to be. This is what we're going to do to get there. This is how much money it's going to cost. And these are our hopes, and this is the reason why we want to do this. Tech plans are never static. You're always changing them because your needs and your assessment drives where you want to go, and so tech plans are kind of fluid. You can always amend them, but it's better to have a plan and change it than to have no plan at all. What typically goes into the plan, and I say typically because these are the general things that the federal government would look for if they were to say it is a technology plan, but your plan is what works for you. But these are the things that I look for when I'm dialoguing with somebody about their technology plan. I at least want to see these things, but how you put them together is completely up to you. I would like to know what your library's mission statement is, because everything follows from what you're all about. If your library doesn't have a mission statement, or it has not revisited its mission statement in the last 10 years, that might be a great first step if you're thinking about reviving your technology plan. Libraries are about different things today than they were 25 years ago. And if you haven't talked about your library's mission statement, that might be a great thing to haul out and take a look at. This is totally your decision. Your library board, or perhaps it's you and only you. Maybe it's a committee of few. You need to decide as a local community, what are the priorities for you being there, and how can we, help to improve this and meet this mission in a more effective way. Goals are a part of a technology plan. We want to know, where do you want to be? And goals should be, they should not be pie in the sky. Oh, I've read this in American libraries, and I think this should be our goal, even though it doesn't really need us. Don't pick goals that are national goals. Don't even pick goals that are state goals. Pick goals that are local goals, that are meaningful and will improve your service to your local community. Those are the goals that are really going to be attainable and are going to make the most sense to you. And once you establish a goal, then you are ready to kind of say, how can we do that? How can we create some kind of a strategy to get there? A goal could be as simple as, we want in the next year to develop a Wi-Fi connection for our patrons. Right now, the only way to get online is to hook into the wall, and we would like our patrons to be able to come, bring their own laptops, and have a Wi-Fi connection. That could be a realistic goal, and then you can say, How do we go about doing that? And everything follows from there. If that were your goal, you could say then professional development. We need to make sure that if we actually buy a router, set up this Wi-Fi, we're going to have to train whoever our volunteers or staff are how to, possibly it falls offline, you got to reset this router, so professional development is how do we make sure that there's always somebody here who knows how to use this and can keep it up and going. That professional development can be as much as, oh, we're going to, create a sign and stick it on the wall over the router that, says if it goes down, hit this reset button, and, that kind of thing. Professional development is just making sure that you can keep this technology running and that your staff or volunteers can do that. Needs assessment would be, what do we need to make this goal? Do we need an extra outlet over in this corner? Do we need a more expensive router than the one you might have at home? Do we need to figure out how to put some kind of software attached to this so that this router is only on at the during library hours, because if it's on during non-library hours, someone stands outside and downloads movies all night long and really ups your bandwidth usage. So those are kind of what do we need if we're going to try to make this goal. And again, if the goal is reasonable, your needs assessment is not going to be that difficult. Budget. What's this going to cost? How are you going to pay for it? Where are you going to get the money? And everything has a cost to it, so budget and how you're going to pay for this is important. Can you get grant money to pay for this? Could you possibly get federal money to pay for this? What would your portion of it be? Do you think that you could apply to your city government? Just budget. How can we strategize how to make this goal happen? With budgets being very tight, how are we going to allocate, I should say, our state library money? How can we make this happen? And do we need to save up for it for a couple of years? Evaluation is, how did this work out? You could have, evaluation could be really simple, like, we have a little survey for our patrons, or we just really wanted to have our staff and volunteers keep a little log of how often did they need to, reset this, or, we did on our busiest time, once an hour, we looked around and counted the number of people who were on, desktops and the number who were here on laptops, and or maybe you are able to track your bandwidth and say, how much bandwidth was used for, service A and how much bandwidth was used for service B. And the last thing is your internet safety policy. If you include a new technology, you're probably going to want to revisit your internet safety policy and have some kind of a safety policy that covers that new type of technology. If your new type of technology is Wi-Fi, maybe mention your expectations. The Wi-Fi that you receive is not filtered, but we expect that you will, do this or that. Because if they're using end user equipment, they don't necessarily have to have the filtering protections there. But you may have to have expectations laid down because you do not want other patrons or little kiddos walking by and seeing anything hideous. So that may be something you need to have. You also may need to have, if you're doing video conferencing, we want, this video, you can't charge anybody if you set up a, you may want to have policies set up for the new technology. And
your voice is sounding very strange.
Yes.
Hi, Valerie, your voice is sounding very strange.
Okay. Okay.
That's better. That sounds better.
It's
but
strange.
Tell
me more,
Julie. You were
Julie.
Speaking very quickly and very like a hydrogen balloon or something. So.
Okay, I will try to slow down because I do have the habit of going quickly. Can you tell me where I got astray so that maybe people won't miss something?
It was right about the children walking into the Wi-Fi and seeing something hideous.
Okay, so pretty much internet safety policy, you are going to, if your goals include a new technology, you are going to want to, and that technology touches the internet, you are going to want to incorporate that in your internet safety policy. And because things are always changing, nothing is static, it is possible that your internet safety policy, you may want to have a new public meeting where you talk about, we're offering new things and this is how our expectation for our community, and allow your community to give you feedback. So I would love to see an internet safety policy come in with your mission statement, even if it's never changed, just giving it back to us would be wonderful. So your goals really drive everything, and so this next slide is sample goals. These are goals that maybe you might have. A lot of times people are stuck with, well, I don't really know what my goals would be. Everything follows from the goals, and these are just some sample goals that you might have. These are things that I have recently seen. The most common one that I've seen recently is the Wi-Fi goal of making Wi-Fi available so that patrons can bring in their own end-user devices. I do see goals circling around video conferencing, the second goal I have here, of how can I make video conferencing more available to the local government. And this particular one was, different villages, neighboring villages wanting to have governmental sessions. But that is a goal that I see. A lot of times people have the goal of, I want to get rid of I've got computers that were from the very first Gates grant back 12 years ago. In 3 years, I want every single one of those to be gone. I want to replace one a year for the next 3 years, and so that can be a realistic goal. Another goal that is something I'm seeing ever increasingly, and outreach to patrons that may have disabilities. And so having a goal like that it may only slightly touch on technology. You may want to have adaptive software, but you may also have non-technology components like, we want to have a wheelchair accessible desk, or we want a standing workstation for people with back problems, or we want a ball that people can sit on rather than a chair, or, it can be the goals can be very simple, and they can be because you've noticed a need in your local community. Julie, how am I doing sound-wise now?
You're doing fine. I got a message that Joe Cassidy's having difficulty connecting, so I'm kind of crafting her an email, and I'll be contacting Joe offline. So you sound great.
Okay, sounds good. And I am going to move on then to once your goals are set, then your whole technology plan follows from there. And off in the right, you'll see little parentheses. These are the red things that I had in an earlier slide that are the parts of the tech plan that I really would like to see. How is your staff going to learn how to keep this going? What equipment am I going to need to get there? Where is the money going to come from? And how are we going to know that we really achieved it? And then how do we share those expectations with our patrons? Those are the professional development, needs assessment, budget, evaluation, and internet safety policies. And once you look at them, rather than saying professional development, rather than saying that, you say, how are we going to learn to get there? It makes a lot more sense. Needs assessment, sometimes people are like, what? But if you ask yourself, what equipment are we going to need to get there? Or maybe what wiring are we going to need to get there? What outlets are we going to need to get there? What cords are we going to need to get there? That's all needs assessment. How are we going to pay for it? That's your budget. How are we going to know that we really were successful with it? That's your evaluation. And then how do we share it? That's your internet safety policy. This is a very common question. It's on the screen if you can't read it. How much detail do I need in my tech plan? This is a really good question. The feds are always telling us your tech plan should only be as big and as complicated as your library or your library system. If you are a one-room library, your technology plan should not be 25 pages unless you've got a real overachiever on staff or you really are going through tremendous change. The kind of change that is maybe you are developing a new circulation system and you're rewiring your whole building and you're buying all new equipment. If you really have quantum change going on, perhaps your tech plan is longer than if you really are just growing and improving like most libraries do. I have seen technology plans that are 3 pages long for a library that's a single site, and it's a perfectly wonderful technology plan. Perhaps they have 800 patrons, 1 site, maybe 6 computers, and that technology plan meets their needs. Their goals are modest. They do want to improve, replacing equipment or, working on 1 or 2 things in the future, but their budgets are small. They're trying to be realistic, and if big money comes, shuffling in, they can always amend that tech plan. So keep in mind that your technology plan should be proportional to your library system and its size. If you're a one-room building, please don't think that your technology plan needs to be a 20-page document that is full of technical stuff. If you're not technical people, make it as simple as you can, and I will work back and forth with anybody who needs help in trying to figure out what would be the best way to assess something or figure out budget. Should I hire an outside consultant to do my library's tech plan? This is for Durley libraries, and I threw this in here because we have the bigger libraries on the call today. This is a really good question, and generally the answer to this would be, who knows and understands your library? Who knows and understands your patrons? Who knows and understands where you want to be? Typically, the response I give back is, well, why would you? What would be the reasons? And some people say, my technology needs, nobody here in the library really can configure where we want to be. If that's the case, then maybe yes, you want to consult with somebody for parts of your technology plan. You may want to say, if you have those big technology needs, why has your library not considered the next time you hire somebody to hire somebody that has that particular level of expertise in-house? It's always better to handle your planning yourself, but if there are parts of your plan that you simply cannot handle yourself, that would be the reason why you would. It's just beyond us, Valerie, is what some people do say. And then I say, well, hire somebody for that portion of it. But would you hire somebody to set your goals? I hope not. Would you hire somebody to set your professional development, how you're going to reach out to your staff and train them? Probably not. The budget part and the needs assessment, yeah, I could see that part being hired out. You really want to own your own goals. That is so important. These goals need to be yours. They shouldn't come from the state library. They shouldn't come from the feds. They shouldn't come from anybody other than you and your patrons and where you want to be to meet that mission statement that you started out with. If you have a mission, your goals should follow from that. If you have technology that's beyond your expertise, you could hire somebody to help you meet that goal. That would be extremely prudent, but be cautious about turning the whole thing over because it's not your plan anymore. They're not your goals. The path isn't yours, and quite often you don't go back and look at it again. This is probably the biggest problem that I see with school districts. Agencies, once they become big enough and they have a big enough budget, they tend to want to pass something off to somebody else so that they can just focus on the business of what they do. And technology planning can become one of those.
Hi, we have a
I encourage you
question, Valerie,
not to do
from
that.
Margaret. So the question is, if you
Sure.
update or change your plan, do you need to resubmit it to you?
Yes, you should. If you amend your plan, it's great to have it on file here. We would love to do that because then if you are ever asked because of grants or because of the feds, we would say this was the original plan, it was amended on this date. It's always a good idea to do that because it really demonstrates purposeful planning and that you are continuing to work with this and update it. So if ever we are asked, we can always say, oh yes, they have a vibrant plan that is being addressed. It's not sitting on a shelf somewhere. And so if you would submit it, all I'm going to do is say received. And sometimes I look at it and I say, I think I might know of some way that you could maybe get some money for this. I might actually have some constructive feedback, and I definitely get together once every couple of weeks with the library development team, and we talk, and if I know that your library is going in some kind of a direction, I can share that at the state level, and we're always trying to be mindful of opportunities that could come your way to help you make those goals. While the state library is not in the driver's seat at all, we are your cheerleaders and we want to help you make these things happen. And sometimes, if we're aware of where you want to go, we can help you. We can be your partner. So I hope that answered your question. And the next, and I'm just about done, is are there sample plans to look at? Perhaps your library has never had a technology plan and you want to know, can I look at one just to get me going? Absolutely. And I cut and pasted the very top of one of my sample plans that I send out to people. And this happens to be this fictitious Northern Lights Public Library. Asia made this up quite some years ago. And you can see it starts with the mission. The goals fall from there. And I have probably 4 or 5 samples I could send you. I would love to do that. Are there directions for creating a technology plan? Yes, for an ACLA conference, probably 8 years ago, I developed this template where it was a fill-in-the-blank kind of thing for libraries. And I did this for some of our smaller libraries where they said, I don't even know where to start. And I said, okay, start with your library name, then the dates you want it to cover, then your mission, and fill in the blank kind of thing. So that is also a style of developing a tech plan that I would be happy to send with you, and I would be happy to work back and forth with you. If you're really not sure of what would make a good goal or what would professional development look like, this is a good one to look at. Can we help you get there? Absolutely, because we want to be your partners in technology planning. And I am happy to work with you. I know Julie would be happy to work with you. This is my contact information on the screen right now, valerie.oliver@alaska.gov. My phone number here is 907-227-4051, and that's not a desktop number, that's a cell phone that I just carry around because I'm not always sitting in an office, but I'm always on call for E-rate, so I would be happy to help you. Typically, technology plans run from July 1st of a year for 3 years. I do have some libraries that are currently submitting me technology plans because their tech plans are expiring this upcoming July 1. There are some of you who are working on them. It's possible you're not sure where your library stands with a technology plan. Do we have one? Is it current? I'm new to this library. I can't find a file that even says tech plans. If you have questions about that and you wonder if you've submitted something recently, just drop me a note. I am really happy to dialogue with you about it and give you whatever help I can. We're here at the Alaska State Library to help you, and the more we know about where you're going, the more we can help you with it. I think I've taken probably more time than Julie even wanted me to. Are there questions that I could help you with? And Julie may be off helping somebody else, so I'm going to try to see if I can end this show and maybe read the talk about technology. Okay. If you update, change, oh, I see that one. I saw that from Margaret. And Margaret, I saw your Form 470. Good girl. If there are any other questions from any of you about tech plans, I don't know Paul, but the rest of you, I do know you all, and I am happy to help you. And Paul, you too. Let's get to know each other if you are interested at all. So, Julie, is there
no, Valerie,
else
that's wonderful. And I did want to tell people, I think it would be a really helpful idea if we added maybe an online resource guide to some of the tech plans and add your template and some of the other resources that you talked about to it. So that's something that I'll be working on with Valerie, maybe, and we'll be adding that to the library development page. And so people can be looking for that in the future. But thank you,
Perfect.
Valerie. I really appreciate you doing this. It's great.
You are
Bye-bye.
so welcome. Bye.
Okay, folks, so this is part of your chat time. So I always like to start the chat just by asking people if they have any good news that they want to share about their libraries. This is the time that they can share that news with everybody. So if you have something you would like to share in the chat box, I will share that today the staff at the Alaska State Library is having a OWL open house at the Juneau Public Library from 2 to 5. And we are going to be demonstrating the OWL project to state agencies, to local government, to nonprofits. And this is the second OWL open house that we have participated in. We had one on February 3rd in Anchorage, and then on February 24th, the OWL team will be in Fairbanks, and we'll be having an OWL open house there as well. So we're just trying to get the word out to folks to keep the OWL sustainability out there. So that's what's exciting today. Oh, and by the way, it's also Linda Thibodeau's birthday brunch or lunch today, so everyone's brought in their favorite super salad to share today, so we'll be wishing Linda Thibodeau a happy birthday today as well. So looks like Amy has something to share. She's busy writing away. How about anybody else? Oh, great. Thank you, Copper Valley, and my apologies for typing Cooper earlier, but thank you. So if you have anything good, some good news to share about your library, we'd all love to hear about it. Of course, the flip side is if you have some concerning news or worrisome news on the horizon about your library, or you can share that as well. So let's see here. Okay, Craig got a grant from Yale, so very good. The teams are building a 3D printer for the library. That is very good news. So Amy, do you want to share with us how much your 3D printer cost and where you obtained it from? So it looks like Amy is buying an Air Wolf kit for about $1,300. The grant was for $1,000, and the community is kicking in the rest. Well, good news. Thank you for sharing that. It looks like Copper Valley is writing. We are just starting our robotics club and have just received the kits in the mail. Very good. Now, as I recall, is that there is a very cool robotics video conference from CILC. I think some people have participated in that. Will you be participating in that as well? Okay, not this year. Okay. And Amy asked if you're doing the Lego Mindstorm. Very cool. Very cool. Paul, can you share with us where you are from? Which library? Oh, very good. Rasmussen Library UAF. Very good. And what is the exciting news from Rasmussen? Okay, great. Okay. While I have everybody online, I want to put in a pitch about the EDGE initiative, which they opened it up at the end of January. I've been contacting some libraries directly. The EDGE group selected 4 libraries in Alaska and invited them to participate in the national assessment. And I believe all 4 of them are going to be participating. And then they asked the state library to select 15 additional libraries to invite, and so I've been contacting people and making phone calls for that. And then they've also have those libraries who can self-select, and I know that we have 2 libraries in Alaska that have self-selected, and Amy, I saw that you have already registered. Congratulations, that's great. So I would encourage all of you, if you're interested in the EDGE initiative, to contact me if I haven't contacted you already. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I think it's a great opportunity for you to do some self-assessment for your library and find out how closely aligned to your community's expectations and needs for public access technology are. This is a free, you have a free year, the year of 2014, to participate in the EDGE initiative and utilize all of the resources for free. And after that, they are going to be charging folks for it. So if you have any questions about that, give me a call at 907-465-2916. Well, folks, if you don't have any other questions, I look forward to seeing everybody in ACLA. Raise your hand if you're going to be going to ACLA at the end of this month. You can use a little hand feature that's okay. So Beth, Amy, Paul, what about the folks at Copper Valley? Margaret? Okay, great. We have some chatting. No, okay, well, Margaret, maybe next year, or maybe you'll be going off to PLA, I don't know. But if there's no other questions, I'm going to let you busy folks get on with your day. And I appreciate all of you participating. Next month we'll have Stephanie Schott. She'll be talking about early literacy and and what you can do with early literacy in your library program. So thank you, everybody. This is going to be recorded, or has been recorded, and it will be available from our website if you want to share the link with other people. So, all right, thanks, everybody. Have a great day.